Welcome to College Night for Juniors. We are really excited to get to know and work with the class of 2022. This is our team, and you are going to hear from each of us tonight as part of this presentation. My name is Laura Hall. I am also the department chair for college counseling, and each person, I'll have them introduce themselves when they get on to share their part of the presentation. Tonight we're going to cover just kind of some history about Regis Jesuit and our applicants and where they have gone, our profile, an overview of the college process, resources that we know of and that we're more than willing to share with you for choosing a school, researching a school, everything in between, some more details about applying, the admissions process, decision plans, how we can help as RJ College counselors, what we can do to really work with your students and work with you as a family. And then we're going to look ahead just a little bit to kind of give you an overview and a snapshot of what you might be able to expect in your senior year. We ultimately want you to know that we've got you. It is natural to feel a variety of emotions throughout this process. Some of you might be really excited, really raring to go. Some of your students might be really excited and really raring to go. Some of you might not have any idea, feel a little lost, feel a little behind. Wherever you are in the process, please know that we are here to work with you, willing to work with you. We want to work with you, and we are really here to support you, your student, through this entire process. Let me tell you a little bit about our class of 20. They attended universities in 39 states. Just under 40% stayed in Colorado and about 60% went out of state. We had 54% that went to public schools, 46% to private schools, 27% of our students went to Catholic colleges and universities. So we have a really good and wide variety of choices that our students have made in the past. And this is a trend that has continued on even beyond or before the class of 2020. So the top schools that our 2020 grads chose were CU, CSU, Creighton University, and Notre Dame, tied for third, University of Arizona, and then Boston College, Regis, and the University of Kansas, all tied at fifth. And that's the number of students based on the number of students that attended each of those institutions. And here's just an overview quick map of all of the schools that our students have gone to in the past. So we're still looking to fill a few state holes. So if you know anyone in Nevada or Utah, send them our way. Or if you are interested in schools in Utah and Nevada, we are happy to help place your students there. So we have, again, just to show the variety and the depth and the breadth and the many choices that our past students have chosen as they have gone through this process themselves. It really is an individualized process. It is a personalized process. And we are here to really make sure that your needs are met and that your questions are answered. So we are excited to get started with all of that. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Carrie Macholik next and let her proceed with the presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. Hi, everyone. My name is Mrs. Macholik, and I work with juniors in the Alpha Split NG through SI. Thank you all for joining us. We're excited to be going through this process and this journey with you. I'm going to cover the college search and selection process. So this is a joint effort, and this is between you, the student, your parents or guardians, and then of course your college counselor. And we want the main emphasis to be on the student. So this is really your journey. It's a very personal journey. I'm sure you'll be sharing your journeys with your friends and your family as you go through it. But this is finding the right fit and finding the right match for you. And just like I said, it's all about making the match. So it's not about finding the best college or maybe a college that has the best name or the best reputation that you have heard about in your family. This is about finding the right fit and the right college specifically for you. And this is a fit where you are happy and you are successful. And then, of course, successful students are happy and happy students are successful. So, as you guys know, starting this process, there are more than 3,700 colleges and universities in the U.S. alone. And that doesn't include, obviously, the international schools that some of you may be considering. And most of our students apply to typically between 5 and 8 schools. Everyone is different. We are here to work with you to create your list, to maybe move your list from 20 prospective schools down to 5 to 8 schools that you actually want to apply to. But we will talk you through this process. And we definitely want you to do your research. We want you to do some discernment, and we will help you figure out, where you actually do want to submit applications. There are a lot of things to consider when you're looking at schools and when you're starting your research. And I'm going to go through each one of these, and you guys can take notes and then start your search if you haven't already. So the size of the school is really important, obviously. Some of you guys will want to consider a small school. So we are about 2,000 students, or slightly under 2,000 students here at Regis Jesuit. So if that's a good fit for you, you might want to consider a small university, which is typically less than 5,000 students. A medium-sized university is between 5,000 and 15,000 students, and then large universities are 15,000 students or more. So take that into consideration when you guys are looking at schools. Location is important as well for some of you. Some of you might be comfortable in a rural community. Maybe you want to have a more urban environment, be closer to a city. So those are things you'll want to think about. Distance from home. So do you want to be able to go home on the weekends, or is it a short drive, or is it one state over where you could drive home on the weekends, or maybe you're flying home, and what does that look like for you? So activities, athletics. So what do you want to do while you're there? So obviously you're there and you're studying and you're taking classes, but what do you want to do besides that? Do you want to join specific clubs and organizations? Do you want to be a part of an athletic team? Or do you just want to have athletics there? Is going to a Saturday football game important for you? So those are things to consider. Public versus private. I recommend that you definitely research both and visit, even if it's virtually, visit both. Do you want co-ed or single sex? Those are things you'll want to talk about with your family or with your friends. And what kind of entrance requirements do they require? So what do you need to submit? What are your test scores? If you are submitting those, we'll talk about that later. What are your grades? What are the things you need to submit for admission? How selective is the school? Do they have an honors program? Is that important to you? If you like your AP classes here, you might want to consider an honors program. What are the facilities like? I know that sounds kind of silly, but that's an important thing. Like, can you see yourself on that campus? Can you see yourself hanging out in that student center? Is that dorm what you are looking for and what you're expecting? You can consider reputation of the school. The faculty and class size. So most schools will post their average faculty to class size ratio, or faculty to student ratio. Is that important to you? Do you see yourself sitting in a smaller classroom regularly, having conversations, or do you like to imagine yourself sitting in a big lecture hall? And you could have a combination of both of those things. What majors are available? That's something that you'll definitely, if you know what you want to major in, you definitely want to consider that. What is that school known for? Do they have a strong program? Maybe it's whatever you're thinking of, psychology, maybe it's an engineering program. Whatever it is, make sure you research that department and that major. What kind of internships and job opportunities does that school offer? Most schools will have great internship and job websites on their school's website, so definitely check those out, and they like to highlight where their alumni are. What kind of support services are available? So if you're looking for things like tutoring support or counseling support, advising, maybe you need learning services or want to see what their learning services opportunities are, definitely check those things out as well. Cost and scholarships, that's a big one. We will get more in depth in that in a little bit later. But definitely something to consider and something to discuss with your family. Diversity, so how diverse is the campus? What do you want out of that experience? Definitely most schools will post their diversity statistics, so take a look at those. And then campus personality. So just, virtually is a little bit different than when you're on campus, but can you see yourself there? Can you see yourself with those students walking around on campus? Maybe you do a virtual one-on-one with a current student. Is that someone that you see yourself being friends with? Um, and then, of course, lastly, but not least important, definitely very, very important, Catholic identity and Jesuit tradition. So are those things important to you in your college experience? Do you want to continue retreats and being able to attend Mass and Bible studies? For Jesuit tradition, those schools will also always have, their men and women in service of others. So they'll have service experiences. They will be contemplatives in action. So you're having discourse in the classroom and then you're taking action outside of the classroom. So are those Catholic identity and that Jesuit traditions, are those important to you, and do you want to see that continue in your college experience? All right, I'm now going to pass it over to Mrs. Crabshaw.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Macholik. Again, my name is Mrs. Crabshaw, and I work with juniors in the Alpha split letters D through H. So I'm going to kind of take you from these factors to consider and kind of talk a little bit more about how you search and learn about all these factors. So there's lots of different resources out there that you can utilize to gather information. And you may have already started this. Some of you might just be looking for a little bit of guidance on this. So these are some of our top suggestions, but also know that in the time we're in right now, a lot of what you may be able to do might be feel a little bit limited, but that hopefully will be changing soon too. So some of you may already be getting some information in the mail. So you might be getting guidebooks or brochures that are sent to you from different colleges. And of course, this is going to have some great information there. If you haven't received anything, or maybe are looking to get more, lots of colleges on their website, you can just find it right on the top on the admissions page, and it says join mailing list. When you do that, you'll start to get information from the different schools that you're interested in. If you're not even sure what schools to go to sign up for mailing lists, a lot of different internet search engines or specific tools like Naviance Supermatch or College Board's Big Future can be very helpful with that. And I'll show you a couple of visuals of those in a second. But these are ways that you can use really big databases to narrow in on your search with things that are really specific to you. A lot of those factors that Mrs. Macholik talked about. So, you can indicate if you do have a size preference of your school or a certain academic program, certain activities, religious affiliation, etc. And that can really start to narrow down the schools, maybe even include some you haven't heard of, and allow you to do a little bit more research on them. Another great opportunity would be to attend a college fair, and this fall we don't really have a lot of those physically happening, but the same resources are going to be available virtually. So we've got some dates a little bit later on in the presentation that will show you when there's some Colorado specific opportunities, some Jesuit specific opportunities, and then even national programs where you can kind of survey a lot of different colleges in one virtual platform. There's also the opportunities to visit with college representatives, and sometimes that might be one-on-one, it could be in a panel, and as you start to join mailing lists or get information, you'll be able to learn about those opportunities because the schools are going to be communicating those to you. Searches often include recommendations from others. That could be your parents, it could be your neighbors, it could be your cousin's uncle's friend. There's lots of different folks who have lots of different recommendations. So it's always good to hear people out and hear what they may have liked or disliked about a certain college or experience and see what they have to say. And then of course there's campus visit opportunities too. Again, right now for a lot of schools that is virtual, but are some in-person opportunities too, and I'll talk about that in a second. Naviance is one of the first and probably most helpful college search tools that we use, and we really encourage you to use. You all should be able to access your Naviance accounts, and this is both for students and parents. So if you are unsure about how to do that, or you need help with like a password reset or something like that, just let us know and we can help you with that. But under Naviance, there is a program called Supermatch or College Match, and this is just a quick snippet of what it looks like when you you can put in a few factors. You can see up at the top in the middle where it says must have, there's some different criteria that students have selected, a student or parent have selected. And then at the bottom, it starts to list out colleges that meet those criteria. And then the program is very dynamic. You can click on the link of the college name and it'll show you stats and data and figures about that college. And then even from there, allow you to connect with an admissions representative, specifically the admissions representative for Regis Jesuit. It'll also allow you to join mailing lists, etc. So this can be a super helpful one. College Board has a division of their website called Big Future. It's a very similar search engine to Naviance, and as you can see kind of on the left side of this image here, there are those different factors that you can look through, narrow in on what it is you might think you're looking for, and you see this big green dot where it says you have 3711 college options to choose from. As you narrow these choices down, or as you choose different locations or academic programs or something, that number will continue to decrease and really narrow in on a list for you. And you can create a profile on this page as well, and it'll save all of that data that you've searched for as well. So this is a great resource too. As we mentioned, campus visits are another great opportunity, and I did say, right now it's a little bit of a different time for the campus visit. There are some campuses that are still offering in-person opportunities, so if you are comfortable with that, it never hurts to check into those campuses or those websites and see what they may be offering. But of course, we want students to research the school and research the opportunities that might be available there, because I think a lot of times folks are surprised what is available for them either in person or virtually. So again, even in person or virtually, students generally have the opportunity to register for a program. That could be a full day program like an open house. It could be a short 1-hour presentation including a campus tour. So it really varies depending on the school and the different opportunities that they provide. But always think about registering in advance, so then that way the campus knows you're coming, and then they can make accommodations to make sure you're getting what you want out of your visit. Another option right now, especially virtually, is to attend a student or faculty panel. This gives you the opportunity to hear from current students on that campus. A lot of times they are interactive, so they might do a short intro and then just open it up to questions to see what you might be interested in learning about. And the same thing goes with faculty. So sometimes those are across the board faculty, or could be very specific, like representatives from the performing arts programs or the School of Engineering. So a lot of these colleges have really beefed up their online online offerings so that you can narrow in and get that information that you're really wanting to when a campus visit might not be physically possible. Another really important thing that we are encouraging students to do is to schedule a conversation with your admissions representative. Most college admissions offices have a representative assigned to either our school or the state or this area, and you have the opportunity to schedule a chance to talk with that person one-on-one. That can also be done with current students, and usually the admissions representative is going to be the one who helps line that up. So that's a really good chance to get your individualized questions answered. And then of course there's a lot of different virtual visit days or information sessions. So really be thinking about all of those things and how you might visit a campus even though you may not be able to do it physically. And that just really helps you gain more information about the school. All of us here in the college counseling office, we all worked in college admissions, or as we say, on the other side of the desk at one point in time. And it always meant the world when someone said thank you for setting up their campus visit. So if you do work with a representative and they arrange some things for you or help line up faculty or students, always be sure to send them a thank you because they'll appreciate it. And so now I'm going to invite up Ms. Huggins. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Krapcha, for taking us through that piece of it. I want to cover now what are the application components that actually go into an application that college admissions people are going to review. And we'll talk more about this specifically in your junior meeting and how it relates to you specifically. But this is just to kind of give you an overview of what colleges are even looking at when they look at an application for you. So curriculum, these pieces on this slide are the quantitative pieces, sort of the numbers that reflect what you have done so far. These are not who you are. These are just your grades, test scores, things that say something about you. The curriculum is what we do here at Regis. So every college will see your transcript. They will see that you attend Regis. They will also see the classes that you've chosen to take. So they won't just be looking at your GPA. They'll look at what you chose to take over time and how you did over time. So upward trends is definitely something that they like to see. So don't worry so much about a specific GPA. Think about how your classes have progressed over time, both in terms of rigor and also in terms of the grades you've received. The school profile is something that every high school provides to colleges that gives just a context for where you are and the sort of opportunities you've been given. So on our school profile, for instance, it lists all the classes that we offer. It also shows that most of our students go on to college. As Ms. Krapcha said, there are lots of admissions people who are assigned to our school specifically, and so they will know our school very well, and they're people that come back to our school each year, and even now virtually we'll be working with our students. So that school profile is there for them if they need to refer to it, but lots of our schools, lots of our colleges that visit us do know a lot about Regis and who we are, and like Regis students because they get involved and they're nice people. The SAT is also, SAT, ACT scores is something that colleges are going to be looking at, but as you all have probably heard, test scores are optional this year. Some colleges are even choosing to make scores optional for your class. So this is something that just changes all of the time in terms of what colleges are requiring or suggesting, and so we will keep you up to date on what we are hearing and what we know, but in the past, scores have played a part of this process. For most colleges, we will see what happens in the future. So the only other thing we wanted to say about testing is that there will be an ACT offered here at Regis. It's the ACT Plus writing on March 2nd of 2021. So just know that that is something we are already planning for. What are some of the other pieces to an application that colleges are looking at? Colleges are going to be looking at, a lot of them talk about a holistic review of an applicant, looking at sort of your involvement in different areas. Colleges are not looking for one specific thing or a secret list of things that they have that they're hoping that you've done. They simply want to know that you are an interesting person who is interested in being a part of their campus and being involved in their community. So they will look at leadership, they will look at involvement. Leadership, though, can mean lots of different things, and it does not have to be a traditional leadership role. So you don't have to be the captain of a club or a sport. You could be a leader in your neighborhood. You could be the one that helps the elderly person across the street take their groceries inside, or help a younger student in your neighborhood with tutoring. So there's lots of different ways to show leadership and involvement. It can be through specific clubs and activities on campus for sure, but it can be lots of different things as well. It can be your community service, jobs, any kind of summer opportunities or internships that you've had. But colleges also want to hear about your hobbies and interests. And so if there are things that you have passions for, or even just hobbies that you really enjoy, those are things that they really want to know about you as well. The essays is something we talk a lot about in our essay workshops that we have over the summer, but also that we'll be talking with you about sort of towards the end of junior year and certainly the beginning of senior year. But the essay is the piece that is your voice in this process. So the transcript and the test scores and even your list of activities are things that are that you've done and things that are about you. Letters of recommendation are our interpretations of what makes you great, why a teacher has really enjoyed having you in class. But the essay is really an opportunity for you to share your voice in this process. And so we will talk about that more specifically later. There are some schools that really take less interest in the essays and are going to look more at maybe your activities and the classes you chose to take. So as we are looking at your individual lists, we can help you sort of decipher what is going to be the most important things for the specific colleges you are looking at. Interviews are something that a lot of students are offered the option to do. If you have the opportunity to interview, certainly please take that opportunity and come talk to us, because we will definitely help you do some mock interviews and talk you through kind of the important topics or factors or things to consider as you're preparing for a college interview. Let's see. Okay, so we do want to cover some myths. So we do hear from students things that they've heard from families or other students. Maybe these are just things that you're feeling yourself as you're thinking about this process and thinking about college. And I think that there is a perception, first of all, that there is just one perfect college for each person, that I have to find that exact right fit. Fit is certainly important, and we want to help you find that, but there are probably lots of colleges that each of you would like for different reasons. And so our job is to help you find a nice list of schools where you will have lots of options to choose from your senior year. Investigating colleges is an unpleasant chore. This is something that I think it can feel very overwhelming to start researching colleges. And if you go back to the list of qualities that you are looking for in a college, that can help you sort of figure out then, okay, if I know I want schools in this part of the country, or I know that I might be interested in majoring in something specific. The more specific you can be about what you are looking for, the easier this process is going to be. But we can help you identify the criteria that's going to be important to you, and then it makes doing the research on colleges, I think, much more pleasant and much more, I don't know, it just can feel a little bit more helpful if you know what you are researching. Another myth is, I've never heard of that college, so it can't be any good. I think we all in college counseling here know of lots of schools that offer really, really wonderful opportunities for students, and places that you can get a great education that might not be on everybody's top 20 list. So the more open you are to hearing about these schools, the more opportunities you're going to have perhaps to have some interesting colleges on your list. Oops, I just went back. Okay, so I heard that a student from another high school got into a certain college with a lower GPA and ACT than mine. that doesn't seem fair. This is something that you just have to trust that you aren't always going to know the entirety of somebody's situation. And so even if you know a neighbor or a friend or a cousin who got into a school and they had a lower GPA or a test score or some other piece that maybe feels like, oh, well, my application is better than that. You just don't know all of the different pieces that go into an application. So just trust in this process. Trust that you're going to get into the right places for you and your friends are going to get into the right places for them. And don't worry so much about comparing yourself to other students. Also, I think because college can be so expensive, I think a lot of families are feeling that anxiety of there's no way for my family to pay for college out of state or a private school. And one of the things that we will help you with is when we are looking at your list or talking about the schools you might be applying to, knowing just in general how much your family might be willing to spend is really helpful, because there are lots of colleges out there that give a lot of scholarship money out that they use as a recruitment tool. So some of the more well-known schools that are more selective because more students are applying are not the schools that need to spend money to recruit students. So if you think about scholarships as a recruitment tool, there are lots of different colleges that can be very that your family can definitely afford, but you just have to be open. There are also large public flagship institutions that are nearby but are out of state that we can help you do research on. There are just, I guess my point is, or our point is, there are lots of different options out there. And so the more that you let us know what you need, the more that we can help you. So just to continue with some myths, to find the right college, I must first decide on a major or career. There are some schools that are going to ask you what you want to major in right away. But lots of schools, the majority of schools, do not need you to choose a major before you apply to college. Lots of schools actually don't want you to choose a major until the end of your sophomore year, depending on the school. So knowing a major is not necessary for choosing a school. However, if you do know that you want to major in something, that's something to let us know, and we can help you find schools that meet your specific interests. Also, some students say, well, maybe I should take a less difficult class because it'll look better on my transcript if I get an A. Any of the very selective schools are going to say, we want you to take a more difficult class and we want you to get the A. So this is, again, something that is going to be a decision that you make for yourself. So we would like to see you push yourself here at Regis, partially because the more you push yourself here, the better prepared you are going to be once you get to college. And this isn't just about getting into a college. We really want you to find schools that you're going to be really happy at and successful at. And the more challenging you make school here, the easier college is going to be for you. With that said, we don't want you to just take a bunch of AP classes because you think you're getting the bump. It will still show if you get a C in an AP class, even if you get that bump in your GPA as a B, it's still going to show as a C on your transcript. So again, these are very specific sort of pieces that we can talk about in your junior conference or when you have questions, but this is just, we wanted to sort of answer some of the questions that you all had. Some more myths that we wanted to cover. So to find the right college, I must first decide on a major or career. You absolutely don't need to know what you are going to major in to choose a school. If you do, have a specific major in mind, certainly let us know. That is helpful for us, and that can help narrow down some schools. But lots of colleges don't even want you to choose a major until after your freshman year or even sophomore year. So if you do not have an idea of what you want to major in, that is absolutely okay. Do you need to go for an A in a less difficult class because it'll look better on your transcript? This is something that you need to decide for yourself. We do want you to push yourself and challenge yourself while you're at Regis, because the more you challenge yourself here, the better you are probably going to do in college and the more prepared you are going to be. If though you feel like I want to just focus on getting A's, in less difficult classes, that is a personal choice. If you are looking at very selective schools, they are going to want you to earn an A in a difficult course. So this is something that is going to be specific to you, and we're happy to have those conversations with you if you have questions about what you might want to take for your courses. So something else we hear, oh, what I do senior year doesn't matter because once I've been accepted, colleges aren't going to see my transcript. That is not true. Colleges are going to see your final transcript, and part of why you are going to get accepted to certain schools is because they're going to see the classes that you've selected for the entire year. So if you think I will just take one semester of something and then drop it second semester because I'm accepted into a school, please do not do that, because colleges are basing acceptances on what you have submitted senior year, which is your full year of classes. So again, that's something that is specific to each student, but we can certainly have those conversations and are happy to have those with you. Another thing that comes up a lot is that colleges, certain colleges, will offer a free application if you apply. Most of those colleges just don't have an application fee, but they advertise it as a free application. So should you apply to a college that has a free application, if you want to go to that college, absolutely you should apply to that school. But do not feel compelled to apply to a college just because they are offering a free application to you. Most likely, they are offering a free application to everybody. One more thing here, let's see. So there won't be space for me or my student due to fall 2020 deferments. This is something that we've been asked about a lot lately, obviously, in relation to COVID. This is something where the perception is definitely greater than the reality. We have heard that from lots of admissions people. So please don't worry that there's not going to be space for you at school. When you go to college, there will definitely be space for you. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Delaney now. Here he is. I think.
Hi folks, my name is Mike Delaney. I'll be working with juniors with the last names I through NE. And I want to talk a little bit about, some things you can be doing this year as juniors. We'll start with the college list. I see junior year as research year. Very rarely is anything due in this process as a junior. So you're spending time in this process really trying to do research. We've talked about a few ways to do that: visiting campuses, virtual visits, a lot of great online resources. You're doing your research to figure out what those factors are that are important to you. Maybe thinking a little bit more research into possible major options and career paths. And you're trying to find some schools that fit a lot of those factors that you'd be very happy at. We kind of like a sweet spot for these application lists in the 3 to 8 range. It's really up to you at the end of the day. It's an individual basis, but having smaller lists does allow people to be more thoughtful and do deeper research into some of their finalists. When people have lists of 20 schools, sometimes we'll poke them and ask, tell me about this school on your list. and they can't really say anything but the very, very basics. Ideally, you're doing enough research, you're open-minded in the beginning, you can have a really large list, but by the beginning of senior year, try to get it down to that 3 to 8 or 3 to 10 range. Each college on the list should be one that you would happily attend. That should go without saying, but we know there's a lot of pressures in this process. There's people wanting to challenge themselves with some challenging schools. We will support you, but we really want you to be thoughtful with your time and resources in this process. We want you to be open-minded, and we want you to cover yourself with, a good range of schools. Have some ones at different levels of selectivity. It can't be all really competitive, hyper-competitive reach schools. You need to have a couple that we're super confident you'll be admitted to. That will just take a lot of pressure off yourself. So have a good list, a list that has different types, public and private, if you haven't decided which way you want to go on that. Think about the social and spiritual fit. And we will help you with this process as well in the junior conference, which I will talk about next. Well, deadline definitions, just something to keep in mind as you're doing your research and you're seeing the schools and their deadlines and their decision types. Early decision is the main strategic one. That's something to keep in mind. Not every school offers that by any means. You would only get one school that you can go early decision towards, and it's a school that you would have done all your research. You adore the place. Barring any huge surprises, the finances will work out, and you want to show them your commitment to their school, that you're really excited about it. You want to choose them as your early decision school to hopefully give yourself a slightly better chance to be admitted. Those are usually, in general, the more competitive schools will offer a plan like early decision. Now, the downside is it does limit what you can do in the fall with other private schools, but just something we want you to kind of keep an eye out for, and then we'll talk a lot more in our strategy session senior year. Another piece on this list, rolling admission, is a nice one. Those are schools that, while there's no rush in your senior year in the early fall, if you're ready to go and can get these rolling admission schools everything they need, they can make a decision sometimes as quick as 48 hours and other times in just a few weeks. And that feels really good, even if it's not your top choice, to get that first acceptance letter from a rolling admission type school. So just some terms to keep an eye on and that we'll talk more about as a senior. Here's kind of the junior year timeline laid out for you. I'll talk about those junior conferences in just a moment. We will be taking the ACT here at Regis. That's a great first opportunity, hopefully a familiar, comfortable environment to take your first crack at the ACT. That will be March 2nd. And just some other things about visiting. Spring break is often a good time to do some college visits. Spring break of junior year. We're hoping they're all going to be live and in session. We're just going to have to wait and see on that. But this will lay out kind of what to think about over the course of your year and a little preview for the beginning of next year as well. And just some other items to keep in mind with that timeline. We've harped on grades quite a bit, but this is an important year to really keep your grades up and show that improvement, show that positive upwards trajectory to schools. If you apply in the fall with an early decision plan or an early action plan, your junior year grades will be the last grades that they can go off of, at least for that initial decision. So it's mostly about just keeping up the great work in the classroom. Schools, as Ms. Huggins mentioned, do look at your involvement. All their research on the college side shows that students who are involved in a few things on campus are more successful, have higher retention rates, higher graduation rates. So they'd like to see a preview of that at the high school level. There's no magic thing to get involved in. But maybe just finding ways to stretch yourself, to expand your leadership opportunities in whatever you're involved in now. Or maybe you feel like you don't have much on your list and you want to try something new over the summer or senior year. So continuing that involvement, taking on some additional responsibility. We've talked about researching and trying to develop a preliminary list. We've talked about visiting, creating a resume. Very rarely do schools make you submit a kind of professional resume at your age, but they will want that activities summary, which is a list of all the different jobs you've had, clubs you've joined, athletics, community service. And so keeping track of that at an early stage like junior year, starting to write down all the things you've done at the high school level could be very helpful when it comes time to fill out those applications senior year. We'll review your practice test results with you. I mentioned the March 2nd ACT right here on Regis's campus. And we want you to make the most out of your summer. I'm a big believer you deserve the summer to relax and have some fun and be a teenager as well, but also strategically, maybe I should take on a job, a part-time job this summer. Or maybe there's an academic related camp or a career related camp on a college I might be interested in. We get tons of information about enrichment camps over the summer before your senior year, and we will try to share those as much as we can. But this is just kind of a preview of some things to be keeping in mind for junior year. The big piece of it, the big formal piece with us college counselors will be the junior conference. We will start those pretty much right when we get back from winter break. And it's exciting for us. It's exciting to meet every family individually. We welcome parents and guardians to join in these meetings. It's a really thorough, individualized discussion about what are you looking for in this process? What are some of your concerns? What things are you excited about? Talking about how to research. We're always happy to give ideas. We all 5 of us travel and visit campuses all over the country, and so we can help build those lists. Really just whatever will be on your mind, we will put you at ease with this process, what to expect, how we can support you, and come up with a good plan for everyone. Like I said, we will send out those invites in December or January, and then we will meet with everybody ideally before spring break of junior year. And to finish this off, I will kick it back to Ms. Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Delaney. Ms. Hall again. I work with students in the last part of the alphabet, and I believe my alphabet is SJ through Z for the 2022 class. All right, so you have heard a lot today. This has been a lot of information, and we are so grateful for you sticking with us and being interested in learning and hearing about all of the things that are coming your way in terms of college applications and search process. We are here to help, as I have said before. So we will assist you with the college list creation, with career exploration, with letters of recommendation, with editing essays, resume building, application review, scholarship assistance. You do not have to navigate this entire thing by yourselves. We are absolutely here to help you and to be as best of a resource as we can be for you and your families. Just a little bit of background about us. You've gotten to hear from all of us. I am so incredibly proud to work with this group of people. They are all just above and beyond in terms of how they work with students. Our team is really strong, and we're just really, really happy to be able to be together and also for our students. We do regularly attend national, regional, and local professional development workshops. We have served on the executive level of these admissions organizations. We're on committees. We're on college fair groups. We are part of the overall kind of college admissions culture. We visit multiple college campuses across the country each year. And aside from that, if we aren't able to visit in certain times, we do have a lot of connections, and we really value relationships. I hope that you'll get that from us as we work with you. We really value relationship with you. We also really value relationships with our college partners. So we will meet with hundreds of college representatives to learn about their schools, programs, scholarships, details, and we are not hesitant to hand you off or refer you to go ask and talk to those college representatives, because we have built a really strong mutual trust with one another, and we really are all on the same team ultimately to help your family and to help your students. We will also advocate and talk up your students. So when we are meeting with reps, they're getting to know you through the college application process. We are getting to know you through that as well. And we do share information and really advocate for our students when we can. We wish we could be everywhere, and we wish we could give you our full selves all of the time. I think especially in light of our current situation, we have realized that sometimes that just isn't possible. And so I just want to briefly comment about independent college consultants. We do have a number of resources available to you here at Regis Jesuit. I do hope that you've gotten that, and I do hope that we have adequately expressed all of the ways that we are here to support you and your students. Beyond all of the credentials and data and information and things that we're sharing, we care about your kids. We care about your student, their experience, their overall futures. We are here for them. But we are also working with senior students at the same time. And so sometimes we have to be really careful with our time. Not because we don't want to work with you, not because we don't have time for you. It is simply sometimes a matter of kind of putting the priorities in line. And when you get to be seniors, we hope that you'll appreciate the time that we take for your students in their senior year, when those deadlines are coming, when those essays need to be written, when those recs need to be gathered, when all of that kind of logistical pieces of the puzzle start fitting together. So please do remember that we're here for you, but also there are independent counselors out there. If you choose to work with one, please do your research. There are a number that are amazing human beings, wonderful people. I trust many of them explicitly. At the same time, there are some that might make it a little bit more difficult for you and your family. We don't want to add additional stress or burden to this already stressful and maybe burdensome process. And so we want to work together as a team. I want to work together as a team to make sure that your student is feeling supported. Please let us know if you do decide to work with an independent college counselor. We will still be your primary contact throughout this process. The recommendation letters and transcripts and all of those things have to be sent directly from a school official, from a college counselor at your school. So we will still be that point of contact and that point of reference for your colleges and universities where you are applying. But like I said, we also want to just make sure that your student feels supported. So I sometimes honestly get a little, I don't know how I feel sometimes about independent college counselors. I think there are many, like I said, that are really great. There are some that will make it maybe a little bit more difficult. Just talk to us. Be open with us. We are happy to share with you. We are happy to talk with you. And we are happy, like I said, to make sure that your student feels supported. And if that means additional people on the team, let's make sure that those people feel good. All right. Coming up, we've got some events that we just wanted to make you aware of. These are great opportunities, and we talked a little bit, I know, in the presentation about different virtual visits and opportunities and things that are out there. But just a few that we wanted to mention. NACAC, which is the National Association for College Admission Counseling, is hosting some virtual college fairs up in middle of September, middle of October, and then early November. So there are plenty of opportunities with those NACAC virtual college fairs to meet with and see college reps start making some connections, continue making connections that you've already made. Those are really great opportunities, and it's a national and even international fair. So usually there are hundreds of colleges and universities that are represented at those events. The college fairs of Greater Denver are coming up September 28th, 29th, and 30th. They're going to have some different opportunities outside of just meeting with your college representatives. They're going to be offering panels, financial aid information, specific essay writing and scholarship information. So this could be a really great way to kind of get a head start again on some of that information and some of those things that we will be talking about much more clearly with you and much more specifically with you in your junior conference this spring. There's also the Colorado Council Virtual College Week. So these are events, the College Fairs of Greater Denver and the Colorado Council are specific to Colorado students. And so those events will be October 5th through the 9th. We will have more details on that as we hear them. So as we know, we'll let you know. And then we'll also be wanted to share with you about the Jesuit Excellence Tour. So those events are going to be September 23rd, October 11th, and November 5th. Those are going to be college fair opportunities and conversations with just our 27 Jesuit schools across the country. So we are happy to promote these. We are happy to let you know what we know about them, and we are happy to help you make connections to those colleges and universities that you might be interested in through these different opportunities. And we just thank you so much for viewing and being with us. This is a little bit of a different format, obviously, from what we are traditionally used to presenting. I know I would much prefer us to be all together in the Z Theater. I feel like I'm a little more funnier in person, but I hope that ultimately the information was helpful, relevant, and timely to where you are all in the process. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You see on the screen our names, emails, and the alphabet with which we work. So we are here for you, and we are happy and excited to get going with the class of 2022. Thank you so much.